It's not all sunshine and rainbows and butterflies here on Fantasy Football Today Express. Sometimes we have to break up, and we'll do that right now. No, Jamey and I aren't breaking up. The podcast isn't going anywhere, but we are talking about fantasy breakups. Players that we, were Facebook status in a relationship with last year during draft season, drafting all the time, loved them, not anymore. All right, Jamey, who's on your breakup list?
Oh boy, I hate to say this, but the age and the numbers are just not in his favor. But I'm gonna have a hard time drafting Christian McCaffrey. Very similar to how I felt about Saquon Barkley last year. A lot of work. He's older, 30 years old now in June, and everything around McCaffrey, it feels like it could be worse. I mean, at least as we sit here, leading into Valentine's Day weekend. You have George Kittle coming off an Achilles injury. You have Brandon Ayuk most likely off the roster. You have Juwan Jennings as a free agent. Ricky Pearsall is their best receiver, and he can't stay healthy. And the offensive line needs a lot of work. And so McCaffrey, when he's on the field, he's awesome. I think if you tell me right now he's going to play, guaranteed he's playing 14-plus games. I think he's definitely worth drafting in round one. And I'm still going to have him ranked in round one. But as we've talked about with our early rank list, there are some people still have him number one overall, or at least in the top three. I can't get on board with that. So Christian McCaffrey is somebody I'm probably going to avoid a lot in fantasy drafts in 2026.
Okay, I'll give you a first rounder that I'm breaking up with. I think he'll probably end up being a early second, maybe creep into the first round pick, but it's Malik Neighbors. I just don't like players coming off major injuries. He tore his ACL and he tore his meniscus. Look, I think at this point, it was early enough in the season. I think at this point, he's probably going to be ready at some point in training camp. I don't even know that he's going to miss any games, but I'm tired of falling for this. Guys who have these injuries, when they're back, they're not really back. And I don't expect him to perform as well as he will perform in 2027 when he's a full 2 years removed from the injury. And it's if I had to pick him with a third round pick or a late second round pick, sure. But I think we're going to have to use a late first round pick or an early second round pick on Malik Neighbors. Additionally, I think this team wants to run the ball. I think they're going to try to be a run heavy offense. All of their recent coaching moves, I think, suggest that. So, he's still going to dominate targets, obviously. He's a fantastic player, and I love him. But as of right now, I don't see myself drafting a lot of Malik Neighbors. Who's next on your breakup list?
A former number one overall pick as well. The earliest I will look to draft this guy is the end of round 2. But I have a hard time even ranking him as a top 12 wide receiver, and that's Justin Jefferson. We'll see what happens with the quarterback situation. Obviously, that will change things. But if it's J.J. McCarthy again, it was so bad. It was absolutely atrocious. He barely averaged over 10 PPR points per game in the starts with McCarthy. Now, with Carson Wentz, he was over 16 PPR points per game. So any semblance of a proven quarterback, I think he'll be fine. And I do think McCarthy will be better. So I don't think we're looking at a guy averaging around 11 PPR points per game. I think we're talking about a guy that's going to get in that 13, 14 point per game range, which makes him a very good third round pick. But what I've seen so far in our drafts is a very small sample size. What I've seen in the rank list, again, small sample size. Not that everybody's back in on Jefferson, but it just seems like, oh, yeah, he'll be better. Of course he'll be better. McCarthy will be better. I don't know if that's the case. I'm hopeful, but I don't know if that's the case. So firing the general manager, we'll see what this draft looks like for them. But McCarthy's got to be better for Justin Jefferson to get back to the level of slam dunk, must draft, top 10 wide receiver. Right now, he's outside my top 10 in the rankings.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is Neighbors and Jefferson went back-to-back in the draft that we did on Wednesday. And they went with the 5th and 6th picks of round 2. Neighbors, then Jefferson. And that's the point where I'd start considering Neighbors. I imagine you'd start considering Jefferson there, mid-round 2.
Start to consider, yep.
And then Rashee Rice was the next pick. And he's been better than both of them 2 years in a row. It's kind of interesting, right? Like, actually, I don't know. Let me see if he was actually better than Neighbors this past year. Yeah, he was. And he was better. So he's better than both of them 2 years in a row. So, I mean, why not take Rashee Rice? Would you take Rashee Rice over them?
I would, pending no suspension for what he dealt with, I believe, the text messages or whatever the case was. That could be a problem for him. I don't want to speak without knowing the exact situation, but he had something recently. And obviously Mahomes, if Mahomes is ready to go week 1, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a break and get back to our breakup list. Take a breakup. Right. We'll be right back after this. Hey, speaking of the Chiefs, it's over between me and Isiah Pacheco. Curious to see where he ends up, but yeah, that was bad. It was a bad call, and the Chiefs never got their run game going last year, and they're going to try. I'm curious to see who ends up being their starting running back there because they know they have to run the ball better, and if they run the ball better, that'll open up their play action game, which they said was not good enough this year. So Pacheco and I were done. Jamey,
What if he's a starter someplace else? Let's say he replaces Brees Hall for the Jets, or he replaces Travis Etienne for the Jaguars, or one of those situations where he goes to another good offense and is walking in the door as the starter.
I just don't.
I don't think that happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe if he went to the Jets.
What if he's the Javonte Williams replacement?
Yeah, then I'd be interested in him for sure. But I don't know how many places Isiah Pacheco goes and walks in as the starter.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Who's next for you?
Well, I'm just trying to think like Tony Pollard's injury and his recovery is encouraging for Pacheco, right? Like 2 years after the fact, same injury, right?
Broken leg. I don't know if was it the same injury?
Similar
at least. Yeah. But I don't think Pacheco. Oh, he did have surgery. He had surgery in season and then he returned. Yeah, I know. He's not like a great running back. I think he's probably better than Kareem Hunt, but he wasn't necessarily last year. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of over with Pacheco. Was he a 7th round pick?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think he had his moment, and unfortunately, it faded. I think he's an NFL caliber running back, but I don't know. I don't imagine him getting drafted in the single-digit rounds. Maybe if he goes to the Cowboys or something, round 8. All right, who's next for you?
So this one will be pending ADP. And I know right now I have him ranked, which is right around wide receiver 30, which is not bad, but I don't see myself drafting a lot of Tyreek Hill. And, this was clearly a guy that was league winner, difference maker, all those things. We know he's going to be a year older. We know he's coming off of an injury. He's got a team situation that he's probably not going to return to. So I just don't know if he's going to ever get back to being a difference maker. We had some of those conversations during the draft. Like, it's great value, sure, if you get him at the right price, and talking about a number 3 receiver range with upside to still be probably top 20. I don't know if they'll ever get to being top 10 again, but everything according to the reports are positive in terms of his rehab. It's an injury that's not going to have a lot of long-term negative impact on him. But similar to what you said about Malik Neighbors, or at least what we said off the air, like, it's hard to trust guys coming back from significant injuries. He's a year older. Again, who knows where he's playing? I'm probably just completely out on Tyreek Hill.
Okay. And my last guy was Brian Thomas Jr. He was, I think, the first Jaguars receiver drafted in our draft on Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting year to test what had been a pretty rock solid, I wouldn't really call it a theory, but a research base, which is rookie wide receivers who reach 900 yards. That was really in a 16-game season. So you want to bump it up to close 940, 950. They do that as rookies. They're pretty solid bets to just get better. And, maybe the worst case scenario kind of career, there are some guys like Michael Clayton, some guys who just ended up being busts. But, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, these guys are kind of on the low end of the 900-yard club. And 2 guys last year were poised for breakout second seasons, and they stunk. And they were Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey. And with Brian Thomas Jr., I'm just stunned at what kind of year he had. And he was hurt for much of the year, and then they brought in Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington emerged. But whatever the case may be, they had too many excuses for Brian Thomas Jr. He had some drops, just didn't play well. And I don't think I'm buying back in. I'm much more likely, I think everyone is, to buy into a Ladd McConkey bounce back than a Brian Thomas Jr. bounce back. I can't even say I know what went wrong with Brian Thomas Jr. I think at the end of the year, he was basically just a downfield target, wasn't getting a lot of the easy stuff, but too many things went wrong for him. And, I think I'm just too hesitant. I'll take Brian Thomas Jr. probably late round 6 or later. I'll take a shot on the talent, but not excited to draft him this year.
If he's traded, how will you feel?
I think you can't ignore how good he was. So I would like to see him get traded, but
Let's say he's Josh Allen's number 1 receiver.
Oh, yeah. Then I'm back in.
Let's say he's Jaden Daniels' number 2 receiver.
Yeah, I'd be pretty interested. I think round 5, round 6. It was a bad year for wide receivers, so there aren't that many I'm excited about. But go ahead.
San Francisco
doesn't seem like he's a logical fit there. But yeah, I think that'd be good. He's got to have a good quarterback, and he's got to have an opportunity to be a target hog, I guess, for me to be real.
Yeah, listen, I think at this point, obviously you put his pedigree compared to Myers and Washington and Travis Hunter. He's the best of the 4. You put what he did as his rookie season. I don't know if any of those guys will ever match that.
Right.
You put what he looked like last year, and it's hard to say he's not 3rd at best behind Myers and Washington.
Yeah, and remember, Travis Hunter had that big game against the Rams, and then I think they had their bye. And coming out of it, it was supposed to be, well, they're going to start featuring Travis Hunter more. He's going to end up being the number 1 guy.
He got hurt in practice.
Right, he got hurt. We never got to see it. So there's a lot.
Now that was before they acquired Myers and before Washington became a thing. So we'll see what Hunter's role is. But yeah, it's tough to buy into Brian Thomas unless the round range you're talking about, because you're just at that point you're shooting for upside, and I think he still has plenty of upside. It's just we saw the downside, which was awful.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jamey. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Have a wonderful weekend. See you later on FFT Express.